Welcome back to a very special postseason edition of Vikings Film Room, brought to you by the Vikings Entertainment Network. I'm your host, Pete Bercich. Now, for Viking fans, Christmas came a little bit early when the Vikings front office made a move for TJ Hockenson, tight end from the Detroit Lions. We were all excited to have him and his playmaking abilities come to Minnesota. Well, how did all that work out? Where does he fit in this offensive scheme? Let's take a look at the film and see what TJ Hockenson brought to this team this season and why I think he's going to have a very, very good next couple of years. Now, we know TJ Hockenson is known as a receiving tight end. After all, he finished 5th in the NFL on third down receptions and 15th overall, which is pretty remarkable for a tight end. However, as a tight end, you do have to block, and I think the next couple plays kind of highlight what he brings to the table in that aspect. So this first play against the New York Jets, remember the big Alexander Mattison touchdown, but what a great job here on the outside blocking. And you have a defensive end on the outside, and they don't always go where they're lined up, right? They're trying to trick, they're trying to do different things. But he does a fabulous job right here of taking a bigger body defensive end and then shoving him through, and not just going with him, but collapsing him down. And by doing that, you get the Thielen cutoff here, and then now we have this nice wide open space for the run. So when D linemen are on the move, Hockenson has the athletic ability to redirect and collapse these guys and really just get them out of the way. Again, big hole, Madison barely even gets touched, touchdown. So Hockenson in this downhill sort of a running game, very good blocker. Now, I also think the other way where he excels in blocking is just the outside zone scheme. And by that, I mean, you've got a situation where you have an outside linebacker in front of two different tight ends, and their job really is to block these two guys, okay? So it's going to be a double team. One of them will work up to the second level, and it's his athleticism that helps him do this. So he's able, at the snap, to get outside, take Bentley, and really push him in, because he wants this inside tight end to have enough time to hook and get over the top, but his vision has to go to the second level. And once that DB gets on the outside, he's able to come off, push him wide, have that foot speed, and then give the receiver or running back a lane to cut back. So that outside zone is where he really excels in blocking. Now, the next area where he does a very good job is the tight end screen. They did this a lot in Detroit. We do this a lot here. But you'll notice, first of all, Hockenson's on the outside. That's Kayvon Thibodeaux, outside linebacker just outside of him. And the key here is this, is as Thibodeaux gets up to him, Thibodeaux doesn't know what's going on here because they do keep Hockenson in the pocket or in for pass protection. Doesn't happen that often, but it happens often enough where Thibodeaux doesn't know if this is a real play or a trick play or what's going on. So Thibodeaux, with the play action away, decides to take a route underneath, which is exactly what the coaches want him to do, but he never stops and redirects. He never smells a rat. Now, the other part is after the catch. You can see how he's setting up these blocks, and if you look, you have a lot of giant defenders that they have angles, right? These guys have angles here, his blockers are here, but he'll work his way back inside just to get these guys to set up for just a fraction of a second and then bounce it back outside. Now we're looking at another 7-8 yards after the catch. So the run after the catch, the pass blocking, tight end screen, all works very well. Now this is really where TJ helps out the Minnesota Vikings offense. We did a long study on Justin Jefferson and how he did this year. A lot of his big plays came from middle close style defenses. But these big Hockenson plays, they start showing up when you see a lot of middle open. And in this case, you have two-man, which means you have man-to-man underneath all across the board, and then you have two deep safeties. So when you do that, and when you watch that Justin Jefferson film, you notice the big plays kind of get limited in two-man, but that's where Hockenson steps up. This is why you brought him in, so he could beat these underneath defenders in space, and this is a perfect example of that. This is the first game that he was brought in for, and we remember he had over 10 catches in this game, so we wasted no time in making him part of this offense. But notice on the snap of the football, and it's the little things that he does so well. He starts working his way outside, and that's the big part. You see both these receivers, they started inside near the hash where they both opened themselves up. Why? Because that opens up the defense, right? You have a deep half safety over here, deep half safety over there, and then the nickel defender on the tight end. But Hockenson does a great job of head bobbing, head faking to the outside, But look where this field is open. It's wide open. Cousins, vision down the field. He sees this open area, and this is where Hockenson is as good as anyone in the league. That big body, get inside, big catch. Hockenson comes in and makes some big plays. All right, so here's the second example. Again, the Commanders in a two-man situation. Now we have three receivers over on this side. You know, you have a nickel defender and or a linebacker that's going to have to work their way over here, and that's what you want. You want TJ man-to-man with a defender, let's face it, that just can't keep up. So in this route, you see Thielen comes underneath, but when Hockenson gets to the top of this play, he just widens there a little bit, makes that DB take that false step, gets himself open, throw, catch, third down, first down. You can't cover him one-on-one without help in the middle of the field. Now, I already mentioned how Hockenson was the number 5 receiver in the NFL on third down. Well, this is a 4th and 6 situation. We remember this game. Huge part of this game overall, but they bunch him up down here, and again, he could find his way. He finds those little openings in zone. So you have Jefferson, Thielen, Hockenson all bunched up over here. You have the defenders kind of forming an umbrella over the top of them. But you'll see that underneath, the receivers are going to run across the middle of the field, one deep, one across. And what does that do? That holds the corner just a little bit outside because of a threat of JJ working himself to the flat. Thielen's working himself across to pull this middle defender. That creates a very, very small space. And you have the arm strength and accuracy from Cousins. Gets this ball right in there. Following, set up, catch, move forward. And most importantly, move the chains on a critical 4th down. So we've pointed out kind of what he does in two-man. We've pointed out what he can do, in big situations, finding holes in zone. This is against really what's a fire zone, meaning the Lions are only rushing 4, but they're vacating a zone because this linebacker is going to blitz. And whenever you send somebody and empty out the middle of this field, now all of a sudden you've got TJ Hockenson, and again, it's a zone blitz, but you have a middle open type of a look. There's no deep middle defender standing right in between the hash marks. When you have this open area and you have a guy his size and speed, one-on-one or working behind a linebacker, this is where the beauty happens. And I mean, this is a 2nd and 19 situation here against the Detroit Lions. Cousins, top of his drop, protection's good. And when you have the arm strength and accuracy of Cousins, he can get that thing in there underneath the safety, over the head of the linebacker, move the chains on a 2nd down and 18. Now, we mentioned earlier how hard it was for linebackers to cover these guys in man-to-man. Well, a lot stays true for zone, and you're seeing the same concepts, right? No deep middle safety. This is middle open, right? You have two safeties that are outside. They're going to work themselves wide, leaving linebackers underneath. And this is just a beautiful play by Cousins and Hockenson here working together. So you see Hockenson gets up to the top. He does that little stab outside. And what does that do? That pulls this linebacker out to the flat. Meanwhile, Cousins is looking to his left, which is freezing this linebacker right here. It's pulling him out wider in case there's some kind of a dig. But what does that do? There is not a Giants defender in between the hashes. But watch this move. He's selling the out route, but this is where the big man can make some moves. Plants, pivots, balls thrown right in between the linebackers, catch. Attacking the middle of the field when you get middle open coverages is what Hockenson is all about. So what about the blitz? Well, he's handy here as well. Now, this route is very, very familiar if you watched Film Room after we hired Kevin O'Connell, because this is the same route that they used not only in the NFC Championship game, but OBJ caught a touchdown on this route in the Super Bowl for the Rams. All this is a sort of a bunch formation. The two outside receivers are just going to run interference because they know somebody is man-to-man on the tight end, make him fight through traffic. It's just a beautiful execution. There it is. There's a switch route. They're going to run interference, clog all these bodies up over here. And Hockenson is just going to run to the pylon on the outside and be able to beat whatever defender is trying to come underneath and cover him. He just can't. He's too fast. But look at Kirk Cousins. He already knows where this ball's going to go, and he's already thrown it, and Hockenson hasn't even turned around and looked yet. That's where this coordination is so beautiful. He's throwing this football to a spot. Cousins lets it go. Hockenson finally turns around, just high enough. Very, very great play, very difficult to defend. So as we're getting into the route tree of TJ Hockenson, we're seeing what he does so well. And again, the New York Giants, he was our biggest weapon against the Giants in both games that we played against them. And I think the reason for that is how much these defenders rely on looking at the quarterback. Now, again, middle open defense, right? They play a lot of middle open to slow down Justin. That's when Hockenson gets warm. He's going up the middle of the field, does that little move to the outside. Again, it's those small moves. It was the widening of two-man. It's the getting up in the zone and bobbing himself outside, and he's doing that to open up this space right here. This linebacker, however, has vision on the quarterback, and that is going to take him off of Hockenson, who's going to just bend it right back in the vacated zone, throw, catch, run after the catch. It's that simple. Attack in the middle of the field. So, again, another bunch formation up on top. Middle open style of defense. They're just running interference for each other in this case, and you'll see it just blend out perfectly. Before, we saw the receivers coming in and Hockenson attacking the outside. Well, they're going to play on that or play off of that, because you're going to see the outside wide receiver getting up the field, Hockenson's widening out, so the receivers running interference, Hockenson stabbing to the outside, coming underneath, getting in that throwing lane. Another beautiful route combination on the outside. Now, we talked about the tight end blocking earlier on in this film. This is another reason why you want to be a great blocker. It helps you in the red zone as a receiver, but it also helps you in the middle of the field, because you like to have these whip screens, these quick throws to the outside. You want to have your lead blocker to be a tight end, because he's going to be able to take care of any corner or safety that he goes up against. This is another nice answer. The Giants are kind of playing the play here. You see Hockenson going in motion, and on this snap, he works himself to the outside because they're expecting in a third and short type situation, Justin Jefferson to run that little quick hitch route, whip screen to the outside. But watch, this defender's eyes are on Justin Jefferson. This safety back here is looking at Kirk Cousins. Nobody has their eyes on the lead blocker, and this is great. Hockenson just works his way outside, turns it up, a bullet right there, a huge play in this playoff game, and it was based off of a whip screen block. So overall, we knew we brought in a playmaker when we made that trade for TJ Hockenson. The question was, how is he going to fit in this offense? And I think this film shows you exactly why he's so important for Justin Jefferson and for this entire offense going forward. You want to run middle open to stop JJ, you got to watch out for TJ. The two of them are very much a dynamic duo.